In 1977, a small factory in Colvin, Leicester got to work on something that would change the lives of countless people. Little did they realise that people were still caring enough 40 years later to sit and listen to a guy waffle on about that product. This is the Star Wars Toy Podcast. Hello there. Yes, this is episode 36 of the Star Wars Toy Podcast. I am Darth Mark, and on this week's show, I'm going to be talking about the return of the Jedi figures. So stay tuned for that. But first we'll have this.
The Star Wars Tracker Report.
The latest Hakes.com auction is currently underway and will finish next week. Of particular interest this time is a carded double telescoping Darth Vader and the loose double telescoping Ben figures. The auction is well worth a look for many of the other items if you haven't done already. Results will be included in the market report next week. But this week's market activity for the 29th of February to the 6th of March is that 769 items are sold for a total of £49,854. So the top 5 accessories are as this. Number 5 we have the Wampa AFA U80 on a Kenner Empire Strikes Back C Wampa Cave Scene Luke Hoth rebate offer box. Sold in the United States for $457. Number 4, we have a Tatooine skiff and a Kenner Power of the Force A Tatooine scene box. Sold in the United States for $488. Number 3, an Imperial TIE Fighter on a Kenner Star Wars C TIE Fighter LP logo Darth Storm special offer box. And that was sold in the United States for $490. At number 2, we have a speeder bike, AFA 80 Plus, a Meccano Return of the Jedi B Tri-Logo Moto Jet box. These are very special, very rare, and that was sold in the United States for $560. But at number 1, we have a Darth Vader TIE Fighter CAS 85 on a Kenner Star Wars B Stationary Shot Collector Series box, sold in the United States for $633. So the top 5 loose figures now. Number 5 we have a Seize from the Droids line, and that was sold in the United States for $399. Number 4 we have a Luke Skywalker Farm Boy DT Saber CAS 60, and that was sold in the United States for $425. Number 3 we have a Lily Ledy Boba Fett, sold in Mexico for $505. Number 2, we have a Blue Snaggletooth with Dent, AFA 85, sold in the United Kingdom this time, £410. But at number 1, we have a very nice Takara C-3PO, which was sold in the United States for $652. And finally, on to the top 5 MOC figures now. Number 5, we have a Luke Skywalker Bespin Fatigues brown hair on a Kenner Empire Strikes Back 48C card. That was sold in the United States for $898. Number 4, we have a Lumat AFA 50 Lily Ledy Return of the Jedi 50B card. Very nice, with the animated figures on the back of the card. And that was sold in the United States for $910. Number 3, we have a Luke Skywalker Imperial Stormtrooper outfit UKG 80 on a Palatoy Return of the Jedi 70D card. And that was sold in the United Kingdom for £738. Number 2, we have a PBP Chewbacca on a Return of the Jedi 65A card. And that was sold in the United States for $1,009. At number 1, we have Boba Fett, an AFA 80Y on a Kenner Return of the Jedi 77A card. And that was sold in the United States for $1,390. So that is your Star Wars Tracker Report for this week. I'm finding a lot of people use this app, and I would like to know if you actually use it, or if you have it, or anything like that, because why not? I just don't understand why people, if you're collecting these and you're serious about collecting these vintage figures, playsets, vehicles, anything vintage, Star Wars related, you really need this in your life. I found it invaluable for when I'm valuing people's collections. I actually did it just this morning for somebody on Reddit. Yeah, he'd found I don't know if he bought them or found them in just a box of figures. And they were pretty minty. No accessories apart from the Darth Vader. And I give him a valuation on each one. Don't charge for it. I just love looking at people's figures and helping people out to value them. That's maybe why not a lot of people have got this app, because I value stuff for free. So I think I'm going to put it out there for next week. If you've got this app, or if anybody uses it, I just want to get more people using it, because it's amazing app. And Jedi does a really good job. I don't get paid for advertising it or anything like that. I love advertising stuff that I love and I use. And why not? Jedi does an amazing job, and he's a very busy man. He's constantly updating this app and putting all that data in from eBay and all the auction sites and the Facebook sites. So throw a bit of love his way and get this on your phone, on your laptop, on your desktop, or your iPad. Just check it out, www.starwarstracker.com. And if you actually do want to purchase this app, you can have $5 off if you put TSW-25.
Penny for your thoughts.
The final chapter in the original Star Wars trilogy arrived in 1983. Return of the Jedi was to be the most complex of the films, tying up many loose ends. Early production photos whetted the appetites of the legion of fans. Kenner's action figures, also eagerly anticipated, proved to be closer than ever to the look of the film, with greater detailing and the use of new materials. Now, the Return of the Jedi line is the line I remember the most. I have great fondness for it, and I fully remember going in the shops and seeing these firsthand when they came out. The Jedi Luke, the Lando and Leia disguises with the helmets. I was amazed. I think it was probably the Lando that I got first. I remember it would have been either Lando or Luke, because I remember probably getting them both same time, to be honest with you, or maybe a week apart when I got my pocket money. But I'm just going to go through each figure, maybe not in proper order, but I'm just going to go through them one by one. And the first one is Weequay, one of Jabba's goons, and his chief enjoyment is feeding victims to the Sarlacc. He's a pretty cool figure with his dreadlocks and his legs moulded apart. These figures were carrying on from the Empire Strikes Back line, where you had some of them moulded with the legs apart in more like a display type of stance, instead of maybe a play stance with the legs just straight down. Just look at that Luke Hoth with his legs apart, with his one foot in front of the other. This is very similar, but it's his arms that's different here. He comes with the Force Pike, and the way the arms are moulded, he's holding that really, really well. It's a real shame that skiff came out later in the Power of the Force line, as this would have looked really cool on that skiff. And he's meant to be there. If you look on the card back, it's a picture of him standing on that skiff, holding that Force Pike in a similar position than he is in the figure. And talking to the cards, he came on the Return of the Jedi card and the Tri-Logo card. Next up we have Reyes. Yeah, Reyes, my least favourite figure, shall we say. Reyes is actually a partial anagram for 3 eyes, believe it or not. I don't know what it is about the figure. I think it's those big hands. He does use those big hands to shut 3PO up, though, so he's not all that bad. His weapon is a gold blaster rifle, and it could be a Kenner original because there's no actual reference photos for that weapon. The card backs are Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo again, and the picture on the card is of Reyes looking out of Jabba's sail barge. Why they actually made this figure, I don't know. They made a lot of the Jabba goons. They did the Jabba the Hutt playset, but they didn't do much else. I mean, the skiff came later, but they did nothing else for that line, which is a total shame. Next up, we have General Madine, a character which had a lot of his scenes cut out of the Return of the Jedi. He had his own ship, like Admiral Akbar, and he does seem to have a more interesting background story with being a former Imperial officer. It's a real shame those scenes have not been released. The figure itself's got grey hair when the character and the actor had more of a mousy, blondie hair, a bit like Luke's. So why didn't they have yellow hair for him? He's also got a stick. A lot of the characters in Return of the Jedi had a stick for some reason. A lot of the toys had sticks. And it's called a battle staff, believe it or not. When in fact it's a pointy stick. I think if you count up the sticks compared with blasters and rifles in Return of the Jedi line, you've got more sticks. You've got the Ewok sticks, the vibro axes and whatever from Jabba's goons, and Admiral Akbar's and General Maydean sticks. Just saying. So General Maydean only came on the Return of the Jedi card, and the picture has him in his captain seat from the deleted scenes. Next up we have Lando Calrissian in Skiff Guard disguise. I've already mentioned this as one of my favourite figures. He comes with that helmet and that vibro axe, which is same as WeK's, but unfortunately doesn't hold it as well as WeK does. On the card back, you get the Skiff Guard helmet in a separate bubble above the figure, and just seeing that for the first time, it blew us minds. It was just amazing. These figures actually got us excited for the movie coming up. We were excited anyway, but seeing these and thinking, oh, what's going to happen? This just doesn't happen anymore. I don't think Disney will let Hasbro release anything early like that and get excitement up for the film. It's sadly lacking these days. So the card for that became on Jedi, and Tri-Logo on the picture has Lando looking really cool, holding that vibro axe in Jabba's palace. Next up is definitely one of the best figures, and it's a Biker Scout. Now you'll find that I'm not really talking about variations on a lot of these Jedi figures. There's not a lot compared with the first two lines, but this one has quite a number of variations, especially in the moulding and face and body sculpting. See, these figures were manufactured in Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Mexico. And you usually find the Mexican Lily Lady has a short snout. Now, the only disappointing thing with the Biker Scout was his articulation, especially when he was sat on that speeder bike. Everybody got a speeder bike. They were pretty cheap as accessories go, but you found he had to have his legs pointed straight up on that speeder bike, unfortunately. It didn't detract from any play value back in the day, but looking at it now, it looks a bit daft. But let's not shy away from this amazing figure. And the one cool thing is his pistol. He is a one-off original pistol, and that is probably the coolest pistol in all Star Wars, apart from Han Solo's, I suppose. But it is the only full-size blaster pistol that Ken did alongside Han Solo's DL-44. You had 3 cardback variations: Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, and Tri-Logo, with a picture of the Biker Scout sat on his speeder bike outside the bunker, ready for action. Next up, we have Bib Fortuna. And did you realise he was trying to plot to kill Jabba and take over his business? And you know what? I can't actually remember seeing him die. So maybe we'll see him in The Mandalorian. That'd be quite interesting. So here's another figure from Jabba's palace that didn't actually do much and would have looked pretty cool in some sort of playset that had brought out. It comes with a battle staff, another stick, which again is not in any reference material from the movie and totally made up by Kenner. He has a brownie beige cloak, and he's known to have a red one as a variant, but I don't know if that's actually been confirmed. I've never actually seen one. I've seen pictures of one, but I don't think it was carded. If I'm mistaken about that, please let me know. Send me some photos over. I'd like to see them. Again, it came carded on the Jedi card and the Tri-Logo card. The picture on the front looks like he's getting the Jedi mind trick from Luke. Next up, we have the Rebel Commando. Yeah, this figure has always bugged me. It's nice. It's a nice figure. It's just that the Rebel Commandos on Endor were wearing camouflage, and this is just plain green. I know the ability to paint figures was limited back then, but G.I. Joe could do it. And speaking of G.I. Joe, I think they borrowed his blaster rifle from that said toy line, because it looks nothing like anything in Star Wars, and it quite often gets mistaken for a G.I. Joe weapon. Again, this figure comes on Jedi and Trilogo cards with the picture of a generic Rebel Commando on the front. Next up, we have Gamorrean Guard, and this was one of the first figures to come out again, and it was pretty cool. It was the first time we had a big-sized figure, and we thought we were getting us money's worth with this one. And for a change, this comes with an axe. Yeah, not a stick this time, an axe. And did you know it had an ultrasonic generator located in the vibro axe handle, which produces vibrations and gives the blade extra cutting power? Bit like a Gillette. I bet you think I'm going to talk about Friar Tuck, are you, but I'm not. You all know that story. The Gamorrean Guard came on a Power of the Force, Return of the Jedi, and a Trilogo card. The next two I'm going to do together because they both came out together, Chief Chirper and Logray. There were, of course, the two blacked out Ewoks that were on the card, which was an exciting mystery until you actually saw the figures. Chirper comes with a battle staff and hood, and Logray comes with a medicine bag, a hood with a skull on it, and a shaman stick. And they both came on Return of the Jedi and Trilogo cards. Next up we have Admiral Akbar, and yes, he has another stick, a briefing stick this time. And along with Nine Gnome, he was one of the first figures we actually saw in Return of the Jedi, or Revenge of the Jedi as it was back then, as free mail-away figures. The vests of the first Akbar figures were a greyish tone, with the later versions were more of a cream colour. And he came on a Jedi card and a Trilogo card. And the picture has him sat on the bridge of his cruiser, just chilling out basically. Next up is another Jabagoon, Klaatu. You may notice that George Lucas used some of the names from the movie The Day They Stood Still. That's Jabagoons. This Klaatu also comes with the Force Pike, same as Wike's and Lando's. He also comes with a skirt. Some of them have got thicker fur, while others have a much thinner loincloth. And you'll also find some have tan arms. And he came on the Return of the Jedi and Trilogo cards. Next up is Nine Gnome, Lando's co-pilot. And as I mentioned earlier, he was one of the first mail-away figures. And he was pushed quite significantly on the early merchandising. He's a nice looking figure, and finally we've got a blaster. Yay! He's the pilot blaster that was found with the TIE Fighter pilot and the Cloud Car pilot. Only this time it was black instead of grey. You can find him on the Return of the Jedi cards and Trilogo cards with a picture of him close up on the Millennium Falcon. Next, we have the most significant figure in this line, and that's Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight outfit. Now, there are a few accessory variations on this figure. It first came out with the blue lightsaber and a snap cape, and a green lightsaber with a snap cape. That's the one I got. It also came with a grey blaster pistol that he stole off one of the guards in Jabba's palace. Again, to get 3 accessories with the figure, we were really getting value for money on these figures. It's quite ironic, really. We've finally got a blue lightsaber for Luke when it got changed to green. Maybe you could give that blue lightsaber to Bespin Luke now, but I don't think a lot of collectors will, for some reason. I've always preferred that yellow one. And this figure came on the Return of the Jedi, the Power of the Force, and a Trilogo cards. And the picture on the front is a total action picture. It was the same on all the cards, and it was of Luke pointing that blaster pistol at Jabba. That's probably why you got the pistol with him, just because of that photo. And you may notice a lot of these vintage Luke figures now loose have got a little paint rub on the nose. It's because of that bubble. He rubbing up and down that bubble. Even fresh, minty, carded Luke Skywalkers have probably got that paint rub on the nose. It's same with the Imperial Dignitary and all the figures with big noses. Next up, we have Princess Leia in Bouche disguise. Again, another amazing figure that blew us minds when we first saw it. And again, another figure that has his helmet in a separate bubble above the figure. Just so you know that is Princess Leia. And funnily enough, that sculpt of Leia is probably the best one on the vintage line. And so well in proportion, even with that helmet. The card backs were Return of the Jedi and Trilogo. And it's quite funny that the picture on the card is of her with the helmet on. And I did forget to mention that she comes with an oversized blaster rifle, the biggest weapon in the whole line. Oh my. Next up is Squidhead, another pointless Jabba goon. And funnily enough, it comes with a Bespin blaster, a grey version, which sometimes can be confused with a reproduction weapon. It does also come with a cloak, a skirt and a belt. So again, you're getting value for money, but it's kind of a pointless character really. Again, if we only got that Jabba Palace playset, it might have made a bit more sense. Again, it comes on the Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo cards, but the picture on the card looks like it's animated as opposed to a proper photograph. Next, we have the Emperor's Royal Guard. The cloth robe may tone down the brightness of the Crimson Guard, but the mask and other parts are well sculpted. He also comes with a Force Pike, which is original, only to him in the line. This is probably a figure you're going to need two of, but there's very little play value. It'd be good for a display, but did people display the figures back then? This came out in a Jedi and a Tri-Logo card back with a generic picture of a close-up of a Royal Guard. Next we have Pruneface, and the species are called Dresselian. There's actually 3 of them in the briefing on Return of the Jedi, and I don't think any of them had a eye patch like the figure has. One was seen getting on board the shuttle Tardarian before going to the Forest Moon of Endor, but you never see him again after that. So is he deserting? Here is another one of those figures that you think, why did they make that? He came with a rather terrible hooded cloak, and again another rifle that looks like something from G.I. Joe. The card backs are Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo, and the picture is, again, it looks like it's an animation rather than a photo. Next up is Klaatu again, but in Skiff Guard outfit this time, and he's carrying a Force Pike, a rather large, flimsy Force Pike he's got there, and he came on the Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo cards. Next we have 8D8, the torture droid that actually works under EV99. Again, another figure that would have padded out that Jabba Palace playset. The picture on the Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo cards is of him torturing a power droid. Next up is Nikto, that holds a vibro staff. They should have really brought that skiff out earlier. I mean, what were they thinking? And this gun actually came out on a Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force and a Tri-Logo card. Next up, we have Wicket, another Ewok, but the best one, obviously. Why they didn't put this one out first, I have no idea. It is the smallest figure. I think it's smaller than the Jawa. I mean, they were worried about the value of the Jawa back in the day when they had vinyl capes, so they turned them into cloth capes. But this, you get a spear with it, I suppose, and a hood. But not a lot more, but it is very cute. And there are packaging variations where one is with the spear on the left and one with the spear packaged on the right. I know not a great variation, but there you go. If you want to be a completist on these Ewoks, and Wicket, of course, came on the Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, and Tri-Logo cards. And next up, we have the last Jabba-goon, I promise. And it is the Rancor Keeper. At least they did bring out the Rancor to go with him. But I think the Rancor actually came first, so they only made this figure to go with the Rancor. See, Kenner weren't asleep at the wheel. He came with a hood and a vibro blade, which is quite similar to the Sand People's vibro blade. And it's really funny because this is probably one of the best sculpts in the line. It actually looks like the actor that plays him. And the Rancor Keeper came on the Return of the Jedi and Tri-Logo card backs. Next up is the Emperor. Yes, he came on a mail away first. And the carded figure came a long time after the Return of the Jedi when interest was particularly waning for Star Wars. And that's probably why you'll see a lot of carded versions of the Emperor knocking about. And it's quite unusual that one of the major characters of the film didn't receive a figure till the second wave, and that his cloak was actually moulded instead of having a cloth cape. He did come with the walking stick, however, But again, it's one of those figures that you really want for a diorama instead of play value. But of course, they did come on all three of the card backs: Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, and Tri-Logo. Next up is another Ewok, and that's Tebow. No, not Tim. He came with a skull helmet, a horn, and a stone axe. And apparently to hide a lot of the seams in the costumes of the Ewoks is the reason why they have so many accessories. Tebow came on a Power of the Force, Return of the Jedi, and a Tri-Logo card. Next, we're back to the main characters, and Han Solo, at last. This is the trench coat version, and there are two different trench coats that you could have found, or indeed still find, and that is in the collars. One is the same camouflage material as the rest of the coat, and the other is plain. And thankfully Han is reintroduced to his DL-44 blaster, after strangely having a Bespin blaster in his Bespin outfit. And of course, Han comes on Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, and Tri-Logo cards. Next up is Her Royal Highness Princess Leia again, but in a combat poncho this time. Again, a lot of accessories with this one. You got a combat poncho, as it says on the card. You get a belt, you get a helmet, and you get the blaster. But it's not her own blaster this time, it's an Endor blaster. Can be just as expensive sometimes, and just as sought after. It's nice when you get so many accessories and figures, but it's not nice when you're collecting them, because a lot of these can be missing. I did pay over the odds for mine because it was complete, and I know I'd have to pay a lot more if I bought them separately. It just gets me that you can remove a helmet when you can't remove Luke's, but that is something I will talk about when I get to the Power of the Force range. And Leia came on Power of the Force, Return of the Jedi, and Tri-Logo cards with that helmet in a separate bubble, again, above the figure. Next, we have the B-Wing Pilot, an essential figure if you had that B-Wing fighter, and why shouldn't you? It was an awesome vehicle. The B-Wing Pilot came with an Endor blaster, and was on the Return of the Jedi card, the Tri-Logo card, and the Power of the Force card. Finally this week, I've been thinking, thank God, is the AT-ST driver. I really should be Scout Walker driver. I like how this figure has the realistic sculpting of the folds and creases of his suit, and his sculpting is so generic that you could troop build. And this figure did come with the Endor blaster. It's funny that he has the same blaster as Leia. I wonder if she stole it after she got hers confiscated, maybe? But then why does the B-Wing Pilot have the same gun? Very strange decisions. Shouldn't he really have the pilot blaster? Anyway, can't change that now. And he came on the Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, and Tri-Logo cards. I've talked for quite long enough this week, so there is just going to be one piece of news that I want to put out there. I thought I'd better do it because I use it as a tagline. I didn't steal it off him though. It was just something that came to me at the end of the very first podcast I ever did. So what I'm talking about is the Star Wars memorabilia exhibition. May the toys be with you. They may come from a galaxy far, far away, but for a short time only, they'll be at the Time and Tide Museum in Great Yarmouth. May the Toys Be With You, an exhibition featuring mint-condition Star Wars memorabilia, will be running from the 28th of March to the 13th of September, and will showcase one of the finest Star Wars figurine collections in the UK. Owned by Star Wars devotee Matt Fox, who bought his first toy aged 5, the exhibition will include 300 toys, original cinema posters, and classic Star Wars artwork. X-Wing fighters, lightsabers, and mini Jedis will be on display, drawing together over 40 years of iconic Star Wars merchandise, which eventually ended up earning more than the films themselves. Unsurprisingly, the franchise holds a Guinness World Record title for the most successful full merchandising franchise, and is currently 5th highest grossing media franchise of all time. Entire generations grew up with Star Wars action figures in hand, and between 1977 and 1985, an estimated 300 million were sold worldwide. Norfolk County Council Margaret Dewsbury said, "We are delighted to host this fantastic exhibition, which is a must-see for all fans of Star Wars, classic toys and cinema history." We look forward to welcoming visitors of all ages to this truly intergenerational show. Those who grew up in the late 1970s and early 1980s will remember how popular and exciting these toys were and can enjoy this lovely opportunity to share their childhood memories with the new generation. Norfolk Museum Services have built an impressive reputation for being top-class exhibitions to the region, and this show is no exception. Time and Tide Exhibition Officer Philip Miles says Star Wars films are still as popular as ever, and with the latest one just released, it feels appropriate to bring these classic of movie design to Time and Tide, as they're part of the social history. We've not just got the toys on display, but a whole range of cinema posters and movie memorabilia too. We've even squeezed some life-size stormtroopers. I wonder if they want to buy a life-size Darth Vader as well. So there you go, if you're in the Norfolk area, pop in there. It's well worth a visit. So that's another show in the books. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was entertaining as well as educational. Please be careful out there if you are going out. Some scary times at the moment. Just don't be bulk buying Star Wars figures, please. Looks like we'll be buying from eBay from now on. So until next week, I shall say, may the toys be with you.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.